come on, man.
It's
Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday! Friday!
What he said, it is a Friday here on SDH AM. Thanks for dropping by. John here, you there, and it is the standard fare here, and we've made it through another week. At least maybe in a couple of hours we could say that. But first and foremost, with everything that's going to be happening overnight Saturday, please, 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 please keep an eye on yourselves, keep an eye on those around you, keep an eye on your pets, keep an eye on everybody that is in your circle, because not tonight, but Saturday night, it's supposed to get really, really rainy, hairy, foul, nasty, windy, etc. So just Saturday night, keep an eye on everybody. Look, I've already got the Big 55 all fired up, and it is turning into like massive outbreaks of things. And so just the middle of the country, up and down the Mississippi River corridor, according to the Big 55, it's looking pretty bad. And so they've expanded the tornado areas and things like that. So seriously, just keep an eye on each other on Saturday night so we can see each other on Sunday in front of 125 gazillion thousand of your best friends as Messi and friends come to town. Now, hour number 2, obviously, we'll go through everything. We'll go through all the matches. Weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. We'll go through all of Major League Soccer. Obviously, the focus will be on Atlanta United, with the Messi and friends making their way to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We'll go over what happened last night. 2-0 win for Inter Miami. Messi came in the 53rd, and you had, well, like I said, we'll go over the minutes and we'll kind of gauge, and we'll have something akin to a possible idea. And I say possible idea because, once again, it's going to be, Sergi Busquets, and I thought it was Jordi Alba, but Jason and I were having a conversation yesterday. Sergi Busquets is the one who has played the most minutes. So Busquets ends up with a removal in the match. And so what does it look like? Nobody knows, but we'll, kind of analyze minutes and things like that from what happened last night. And the one saving grace that Atlanta and Messi and friends are Sunday Night Soccer, if you're a fan of the pink and black, because coming home, did you come home immediately after the match? Did you wait until this morning? First thing, flying home. Then it's a region day today, regardless. Then do you fly up tomorrow? Do you fly up day of? All these things we have to kind of keep an eye on when it comes to Messi and friends as they make their trip to take on Atlanta United coming up this weekend. So that's where we are. Once again, we're going to go through everything. We'll go through all the previews, go through everything in Major League Soccer. Jason is probably going to be more 10 to 10:30 instead of 10:30 to 11 because of the training schedule for Ronnie Dial Children's Healthcare Atlanta Training Ground. And so he was thinking maybe 10:10-ish, something like that. Not quite sure. But whenever Jason pops in as we go through everything in hour number 2. Hour number 1, obviously, we'll go through everything that is newsworthy heading into the weekend. We'll go through gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all the things, all the promos, etc. Promos are coming up, by the way, just around the corner. So we'll get you through all of that. Last night, it was a chance for us to go and see Jason's old high school for the match of the day, and it was a sweep for Eagles Landing over Hampton last night. Boys win 6-2, girls win 6-0, and it was just fun to get the stories from Jason about how the stadium is flipped and now it's turf and all this kind of stuff. But no, it was fun to be down in the Southern Crescent last night for that particular doubleheader. Today, it is going to be GAC and Johnson Gainesville. That'll be 5:30 and 7:30 on the network. Once again, soccerdownhere.mixler.com if you just believe in browsers. So soccerdownhere.mixler.com is there. And you can also download the Mixler app, MIXLR. Follow Soccer Down Here in SDH2, because there might be some times, especially as we get later into the regular season, where we're going to be in 2 places at once on purpose. I think there's a date coming up in early April that's definitely going to be the case. So download the Mixler app or just go through browsers. Follow Soccer Down Here. follow SDH2. When you have an event pop up on one of those networks, you get an email notification. Hey, there's a live game going on at SDH. So you can steer that way and find out what's going on there with SDH on the road. So GAC, girls team's ranked 15th nationally. Boys team on Johnson Gainesville side ranked 10th. And so you have these classes. Tom Jacquet, the head coach at GAC, recently won his 300th match in school history. So it's going to be an interesting region rivalry. We're getting up there early because we have to. Because if we don't get up there early, we ain't getting no parking spaces. So it'll be fun to be in the dungeon tonight, Johnson Gainesville. We had Frank Zamora on, and we also had Tia Graves on, the head coach for GAC's women. So it was GAC's women, Johnson boys. We had them on Soccer's in Session yesterday in the noon hour, so you can go back and listen to those interviews as well and get you ready for what's going on tonight, 5:30, 7:30 on the network across the board. And it'll be fun to be up there in Johnson Gainesville again to get and if you've never been, if you are within earshot of Hall County and you have the chance to sample this match, sample a match against the Dalton, sample a match against the Gainesville, any of the directional Hall schools, you have the chance to go to the dungeon, I would recommend it because it is a hot crowd. It is great food, and it is an environment that really is on top of you if you are playing in that match. But the saving grace for the opposition is that the benches are on the other side. It is a one-sided stadium, and it's old school cement. So you're sitting on the cement, you're bringing your chairs, all that kind of stuff, and the benches are on the other side, backed up against the forest and the fence line. So the benches get to see what's going on in the crowd at the dungeon on a nightly basis. But yeah, tonight, 5:30, 7:30, GAC and Johnson tonight on the network across the board. Really looking forward to that here on SDH. So the high school schedule, once again, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente, great sponsors with us with all of our content. Jason's Morning Espresso, for those of you that get that. That is now in your mailbox. It is on the video side. It's on the audio side. So however you access Jason's Morning Espresso, brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University, you can access it there as well. So, hi. All right. So that's where we are. Good morning, Bam. And literally, and Bam, and I give Bam credit, it's probably overnight for Bam. So for Bam, it's like an overnight good morning, where for the rest of us, it's just good morning. So morning, Bam, morning, Alex. I did not hear about the Sanfrecce Lion City Sailors drama. Bam dropping Australian soccer notes in the wording this morning. Sanfrecce won the first leg 6-1, drew the second, lost 4-1. First leg was ruled a 3-0 win. So it's a forfeit. So it ends up going from a 6-1 win to a forfeit and a flip. I'm going to have to go look at this. So Sanfrecce and Lion City Sailors. Yeah, they're feeling an ineligible player. Morning, Ricky. Yes, absolutely true. 12:13 in the morning. So Bam barely did clear. So when we came on 9 minutes ago, Bam barely cleared early morning. 12:05. So 12:13 in the morning. So Bam is 15 hours. Morning, Kefsey. So Bam is 15 hours ahead of us. So Bam, if you could tell us who wins everything today, that'd be great. And maybe if we consulted with you for the basketball tournament and things like that. And by the way, it is round 1 of the AFL season. So for those of us who are junkies of Australian roots football, we get to catch up with that too. So good morning, Kevsey. Morning, Bam. Morning, Ricky. And morning, Alex. So there we go. All right. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. QR code's going to be around here somewhere at some point. Like I said, there's got to be some way that I can hijack the QR code and have it in as there's a QR code thing here in the margins. Okay. So, but yeah, you gotta like add a QR code. Okay. Now I know that I can do that. All right, good deal. All right. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. QR code anticipated at some point when I can remember to actually hijack it and bring it over onto this side from the old board. So there's the so there's your early your early salvo there when it comes to everything involving that. Well, did you see? Did you see? Did you see? Did you see? Where, and this is something probably that I don't know if the screaming that you heard was Drew's or not, but in Europa League, in Europa League, you had a moment with Patrick Dorgu, and it was something that I don't think we get to see a whole lot of. And these days, where you're trying to get that one advantage, you're trying to get the idea of, okay, yeah, we got to win at all costs, those kinds of things. But apparently, in Europa League, Patrick Dorgu had a moment where he could have had a penalty called on his behalf, but he went to the man in the middle and he was like, "Nope, we're good. It wasn't what you thought it was. It was okay." Literally telling the referee not to award Manchester United a penalty with the matchup with Real Sociedad kind of hanging in the balance. Brought down in the area by Hamari Traore, although the Real Sociedad defender won the ball with his tackle. Center ref Benoit Bastien pointed to the spot. Right at that moment, the last 16 tie was at 3-2. Dorgu told Bastien, "Stop, it's not a penalty," gesturing to cancel the decision. Bruno Fernandes ended up getting a hat trick. Diogo Dalot scored. United won 4-1 after falling behind 1-0 on an on a penalty by Mikel Oyarzabal. Dorgu had earlier won a penalty fouled when John Aramburu was given a straight red. Ruben Amorim, quote, "It's the right thing to do, so I'm quite proud of him, but I cannot say if it is 0-0 or we are losing that I'd have the same response. He did well, had a great performance. Learning a lot in that position. He has the physicality. It was a good game and a good action from Dorgu." How many times these days do we have a moment like this? I think the answer is not many. So you end up with, a moment like yesterday where you have a moment of sportsmanship. And like I said, legitimately, I cannot remember the last time you had a player sit there and go, nah, it didn't happen. Didn't happen. Like I said, it's the first time I can think of it in recent history that it has happened where you had a moment of sportsmanship. It was really cool to have a moment of sportsmanship in these kinds of ideas. But yeah, yesterday you had a moment of cool. Patrick Dorgu's like, "Nah, fam, it wasn't a penalty. You called it, but it ain't that." So good for Patrick Dorgu to make that call and tell Benoit Bastien, "Nope, wasn't a penalty. It's all good." I would love for there to be more sportsmanship in situations like that these days, but I don't know how much more of that we're going to get. But tip of that to Patrick Dorgu. Right now, he is the reigning MVP of the day for doing something cool. And also, and this is a note that has been attached to stuff that we've been talking about all week. So it appears that UEFA is looking to change the penalty rule after the double touch by Julian Alvarez. And like I said, I might be old, I might be blind, but I didn't see the ball change rotation, and I didn't see even in that Zapruder frame by frame switch. I did not see Julian Alvarez hit the ball twice. I didn't. Plant foot came down. I did not see the ball hit his boot. I did not see the ball change rotation or what have you. So, like I said, I might be old and blind, but I didn't see it. It was called, and now it looks like UEFA might be relaxing the double touch rule. after the Alvarez PK madness that happened against Real Madrid. They're going to announced, meaning UEFA, that they would begin discussions with FIFA and IFAB that could see clearly unintentional, in quotation marks, infringements resulting in a spot kick being taken. And this goes into the idea of, well, if a keeper moves off his line and he doesn't have a foot on the line, then you got to retake it. But in this case, if you make the error and the ball does whatever the ball does, do you retake it? Issuing a statement once again alongside footage of the striker slipping and clearly brushing the ball, UEFA said Atletico de Madrid inquired with UEFA over the incident, which led to the disallowance of the kick from the penalty mark taken by Julian Alvarez at the end of the UEFA's Champions League match against Real Madrid. Although minimal, the player made contact with the ball using his standing foot before kicking it. Like I said, I'm blind and old, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it change rotation. I didn't see it make contact, especially with that close-up, as shown in the attached video clip. Now, so UEFA even goes to the point of showing video and having the angle that was there for him. Under the current rule, Law 14.1, VAR had to call the referee, signaling the goal should be disallowed. UEFA will enter discussions with FIFA and IFAB to determine whether the rule should be reviewed in cases where a double touch is clearly unintentional. Conor Gallagher scored 27 seconds in. They held on to the point where Vinicius had a chance. Longlaw ends up with a play that awards a possible penalty equalizer. Vinicius misses it. Vinicius Jr. misses it. Held on to 1-0. Then you get the other 1-1 after the aggregate 90. You go for another 30. Then you go into PKs. So Alvarez's penalty overturned by VAR. Tomasz Kwiatkowski rechecked it and scrutinized once again the standing left foot. Video, and this is from the Telegraph. Video footage appeared inconclusive. Kwiatkowski evidently saw enough to rule Alvarez had either touched the ball before striking it or more likely kicked the ball into his standing foot before finding the net. And so you had a couple of chances. So once again, laws of the game, FIFA Rulebook Law 10, determining the outcome of a match states. The kick is completed when the ball stops moving, goes out of play, or the referee stops play for any offense. The kicker may not play the ball a second time. Marciniak gestured at both feet, explaining the decision, penalized Alvarez for touching the ball twice before the penalty had been completed. And so there was no microchip, as there was at World Cup and Euros. Decision was made by VAR through television replay. So it appears that they're going to get to looking at the idea. So you can have and this is where folks kind of balance their way back and forth on this whole thing. So you can have a keeper move before a ball is struck, foot off the line, what have you. If he makes a save with the foot off the line, then it's retaken. But if a player hits the ball twice and the ball goes into the back of the net, then it's no good. So now you're looking at it, you sit there and it's like, okay, do you say it's a retake? Is the end result the end result? Do you call it assumed risk, basically, when it comes to the idea of a PK? That's the larger question. Do you call it assumed risk by the player when he sits there and it's like, my plant foot is in the path. My plant foot's in the path of the ball. I hit it, and then whatever happens to the ball happens to the ball. In Alvarez's case, he hit it so hard that the impact on his plant foot did not matter, and it went into the back of the net. It might have even accelerated the height and given it that little extra boost to send it into the corner in the upper 90. So this is what you got to look at now. Do you sit there and go, well, if my foot gets in the way of my kick, whatever happens to my kick is my business? Or do you sit there and navigate it if you are UEFA, IFAB, FIFA, and sit there and go, if it hits the kicker of the taken penalty, then is it dead and do you retake? That to me is the massaging of it here. Do you sit there and it's like whatever happens, happens? Or do you retake if contact is viewed to have been seen by VAR or, a second official? And it's like, nope, we have second contact. You got to retake it. Tweet. We go to VAR. It's looked at. You go, and then you do one of these. So that to me is the larger point. How do you navigate this? Like I said, is it assumed risk or is it something entirely different? So that's the big issue here. As the three of them, the three governing bodies will look at it and they'll sit there and go, what do we do here? So obviously we'll keep an eye on that now with Julian Alvarez in either Law 10 or Law 14.1. All right, let's get the promos out of the way and let you know what else is going on here on the planet. As you see, we mentioned kicking off the day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. QR code soon to be imported when I can figure out how to do it. Then you use the code soccer down here 15 at checkout. You check out, you get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10% at Kickoff Coffee, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, Kickoff Coffee, and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You see what I'm wearing today? The soccer is just better in Atlanta sweatshirt. Our collaboration with Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. means that you pick up one of these, either sweatshirt or T-shirt form. We have the black and the red sweatshirts here because we purchased them in the cooler months. The boss has the black one because she can't wear red. And so you see the embossment, the embossing, the embossed letters, once again in gold on either black or red. And the SDH logo and ID here on the sleeve. Our friends from Grady Baby Co. IDing the other sleeve. You pick up one of these, either sweatshirt, T-shirt, what have you. You help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School System. So that's why we are having this as a part of our gear plan this year in 2025. You can go to soccerdownhere.net. You can get SDH Network gear. You can get Attack and Ruckus, I want to say. Jason has done some Attack and some Ruckus gear as well as an homage to times past. And so you can grab that as well at the soccerdownhere.net. You go to shop, you hit click, you see all the gear. Also, you can help out the Marshall Islands. We always talk about them and their project. We got to catch up with their technical director, Lloyd Hours, when we can. And then what we can do there is you buy all the gear. A lot of you have bought the Marshall Islands jerseys from Player Layer. They have 2 of them out. Buy all the gear, buy the bucket hats, all the things. But you can also get the scarf, as you can see when you go to the Marshall Islands Soccer Fed store. It's modeled by our one and only Matty Cruz. And so you can get the scarf, but what you do is you get the scarf, you send the order, the money goes to England, they ship you everything else. I ship you the scarf from the other side of this door. So like I said, I got about a dozen left before I have to reorder, and that's always a good thing when you have to reorder something that's helping out a cause. And so once again, you can help them out by picking up scarves and gear and all the things. But if you buy a scarf, I'm shipping it to you, or I'm bringing it to a match on a Sunday or a Saturday or whenever. So that's the scarf on the Marshall Islands part of things. Olive in York, you can get the first ever Atlanta United or the first ever SDH jersey. It is once again sponsored by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, and you have Beyond Goals, you have Soccer for Good, and you can personalize it navy jersey with the floppy collar. And you can either personalize it in white or in the lighter blue, Carolina bluish or white. Consult with Abby because she has personalized, and so you can look at her personalization, sit there and go, yeah, I like it, or no, I want to go the other direction, or maybe I'll just buy both. You can do it that way too. I don't personalize, so I just have the jersey. And once again, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for helping us out there. So it is Kickoff Coffee. It's Olive in York. Soccerdownhere.net, and Grady Baby Co. One other thing I wanted to get into is being a fanatico, and we talk about being a fanatico, $10 a year. What do you do for $10 a year? Literally, it's like a trip to Starbucks or your favorite coffee shop. And what you can do there is if you give the $10 to become a Fanatico. Let me grab the Fanatico-ness here. And then what you can do is you can be a Fanatico and get a lot of discounts through our friends at Chant on the Chant app. And I've got to figure out how to hold this up so it doesn't have a glare to it. And I think this is the way to do it. So if I hold it up against the light in and of itself, I think that this is probably the best way to do it. So going against the light instead of going toward the light. So once again, you go to Chant and you can become a member. You go to SDH. You can become a member here too. There's a lot of really cool discounts. $10 a year. You get to become a Fanatico here and help out our Soccer for Good causes here in 2025 that we've earmarked, gaining exclusive discounts all over Atlanta to breweries, pubs, soccer retail stores, hotels, comedy theaters, much, much more. There have been some folks that have been added to the list recently. Get exclusive access to our group on the Chant app to stay better connected to all that we do on SDH. Chant, player of the match, these kinds of things. Conversations with everybody right here inside the Chant app. You can stay better connected to everything we do at SDH. You sign up, and let me write it down really quickly so I don't forget, because I always end up typing more than when I do cut and paste. I think I got it. I think I finally got it. For all the times that I've read the promo. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. $10 a month, or $10 a month, $10 a year, $10 a year, and you get to help out being a Fanatico, and you get all the cool discounts and all the cool places and that we are attached to. Very, very cool stuff. Once again, from our friends that are putting things together through Chant and all of our great partners that are part of the discounts that you can get in all the places that you can go and people that you can see by being a Fanatico. So partners, let me see if we've added them here into the mix. Brass Tap, Moxie Hotel, by the way, on the 20th, it's our third Thursday event at the Moxie in Midtown. Maddie Cruz and I will be spearheading that one. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind when it comes to Atlanta United, getting ready for Cincinnati, and all points in between. So Moxie Hotel, if you're a Fanatico and you show it, you get a discount. South Main, Schoolhouse, Atlanta Hard Cider, Elixir, Round Trip, Social Fox, Keys to Flavor Catering, Fado's Midtown, O'Sullivan's in Decatur, and this is going to work out really well for me and the boss going that way. We can go to O'Sullivan's. Lloyd Soccer, you get a percentage off of select Atlanta United gear. Finished Goods Brew Works in Winder, they're a new one. Slow Pour, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta, Dad's Garage, Chateau Arenal, and that's the place that you can go visit. Literally, if you want to go see soccer in Costa Rica for any reason, CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza, or if you just want to go see Saprissa, Alajuelense, or Herediano, you go to Chateau Arenal and you become a Fanatico. You use the code, you get a discount. So literally, you can go to Costa Rica, stay at Chateau Arenal, you use the code for being a Fanatico, and stay there and get a discount going in. Battle and Brew and Wild Leap also. So all of that for being a part of everything, being a Fanatico. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. So that's what we're staring at there with our friends and being a Fanatico. Could not let that go by. And once again, proceeds help out our Soccer for Good that we are pursuing here in 2025. Once again, hour number 2, we'll go through a weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming. Jason will be by at some point to discuss things. And that's the official term, things, because of what happened last night. NWSL is starting. So you have that. You've got CONCACAF Champions League, the CONCA Champions review last night with Jason as well. You can go to Morning Espresso, presented by our friends at Oglethorpe University, and you can get all of the deets there when it comes to everything that happened in shorter form. But we like to kind of go over things in a bit of a deep dive, and that's why we do it here the way that we do. A couple of news and notes as we kind of gravitate toward what's going on in Major League Soccer. It is Andy Burnham wants 300 million pounds of public money for the renovation for Old Trafford. The mayor of Manchester, Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, wants to relocate freight terminals near Manchester United's home for a new freight hub, which could pave the way for the stadium plan. So basically what Burnham wants is 300 million pounds in government funding because of where the freight hub currently is, where New Trafford would be. He's got to move all the freight hub material. He wants to create a new freight hub. It's going to cost that much money. He wants that kind of assistance from the government so they can build New Trafford. So he wants to relocate the freight terminals and move them 25 miles away, but it's going to cost a boatload of money. Manchester United says the new barn's going to cost them £2 billion. But Andy Burnham is like, okay, what I'd like to do is this to help things out. So what would be really cool is if you, government, would be, if you guys would be a mensch and make sure that we could get things done. 300 million, I'd like to move the freight hub so the freight hub now could be New Trafford and the new freight hub could be 25 miles away. So that's what you're staring at when it comes to the New Trafford and all that. It looks like Thomas Tuchel has announced his number one squad. Lewis Skelly, Byrne, Kwanzaa selected. No Grealish, no Gibbs White, no Gallagher. Interesting omissions there. Once again, no Grealish, no Rico Lewis, no James Maddison, no Conor Gallagher, no Gibbs White, no Angel Gomez. Adam Wharton regaining fitness after a groin injury, and Ben White. Tuchel said White was not ready, having made his first start in 4 months only this week, that the Arsenal defender had made himself available to return. No place for Jared Branthwaite. So that's what you're looking at with the squad. A 55-man long list. 4 keepers, by the way. Watkins, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Saka, Mainu, Maguire, Stones, Madueke, Hall, Luke Shaw are all injured. Ethan Nwaneri is expected with the U21s. So you have rather interesting choices by Thomas Tuchel out of the blocks here. Marcus Rashford's in his first England squad. Jordan Henderson, who's at Ajax, last played for England in November 23. First call-ups to Byrne, Lewis Skelly, Kwanzaa, Reece James, Kyle Walker included, as well as Rashford's teammates Morgan Rogers and Ezri Konsa. Harry Kane would continue as captain. And so that is part of the squad, the first ever squad for Thomas Tuchel. And England, yes, Alex is like, it's Big Dan Byrne. Yes, it is Big Dan Byrne. Dan Byrne, I think, is like 9 feet 2 inches tall. 9 feet 2. And so that's what you get with Tommy Tuchel for school in his first Three Lions announcement and grouping and all that kind of stuff. Dewsbury Hall helped Chelsea beat Copenhagen. Athletic stunned Roma with a Williams double yesterday. Jack Butland with Rangers stood on his head. That's $1 in the jar, beating Fenerbahce. So there's a lot of things going on. NWSL is kicking off for their 2025 season, which reminds me, we need to get Jen Hildreth on the show. Once again, it's just one of those things where you sit there and you're like, that would be a good idea. And so having Jen on the show to give us the NWSL preview, and also it gives us a chance to sit there and go, Jen, you wrote a book. Yeah, so Jen Hildreth wrote a book. Can Orlando repeat 24's season? You get to look at Claire Hutton, Giselle Thompson, Allie Sentner. How will they do in year number 2? Orlando, Spirit, Gotham, Kansas City, current. It seems like it's those 4 and a bunch of others. So what happens with those 4? But what you also got to see last year was a lot of offense. You also got you're also going to be getting another summer break because of the Women's Euros and the Copa America Femenina. And so you'll have a chance for teams to pick up some players, rest some veterans, all those kinds of things. But yes, I have now been officially reminded with the start of the NWSL season, I need to have Jen on the show to talk about things and being an author. And so you also end up with all of these signings, and there's a lot of offense. By the way, NWSL season last year averaged 2 2.3 goals a match. Not quite 2014's record high of north of 3, but you end up with Kansas City, Washington, Orlando, North Carolina made moves. Maddie Dahlin goes to Seattle as one of the big transactions of the offseason. Orlando, Ed Angelina and Grace Chanda. June Endo comes back for Angel City. Current, they should get their offense back when Bia returns to the lineup. Croy Bethune, when she is healthy off of injury, because remember, she was gangbusters for Washington Spirit. And then it gets injured, and then you want to see Croy Bethune continue to be successful coming off of injury. So keep an eye on that. No Sophia Wilson. Mallory Swanson, once again, has yet to join Chicago. So obviously, if you're looking for those two teams, struggling without those stars, I think Chicago struggles out of the gate. And it will be interesting to see how teams rebound in this case. Jaden Shaw to North Carolina from San Diego. And remember, they also lost Naomi Girma to a transfer to Chelsea. So how does San Diego respond with those big losses? I think a lot of folks are kind of unified in most of the playoff teams. Kansas City, Washington, Orlando, Gotham. Then that's pretty much, I think, the baseline for the round of 8. Then with what the Courage did in the offseason, bringing in Shaw, they think that and another couple of moves will have helped them out in 2025. Does Racing Louisville get north of the bar? Seattle has always been a troublemaker when they're north of 8. But a lot of folks are looking at Courage this year and seeing what it looks like with them. Does Portland come back into the playoff picture? Does Angel City come into the playoff picture? We are intrigued, as they say. But keep an eye on Chicago and perhaps the inability to quickly rebound. And if I could spell Guardian, we'd be in good shape. But no, beginning of the NWSL season, so keep an eye on that and add that to your stacks. You need to add that to all of your stacks of stuff that you might be watching on a daily basis. And speaking of women's football, Matt Hughes at The Guardian, the WSL has a new £65 million TV deal. Sky and BBC have a deal that runs for 5 years from next year. Now, there's a thought that the contract will be renegotiated if the WSL removes relegation from the top division. Clubs are considering a radical proposal to pause relegation from the 26-27 season as a way to aid expansion, to expand the WSL and the championship to 16 teams each. So basically, if the vote goes in the affirmative, you'd have 32 teams in the WSL and in the championship, but you've got a new TV deal coming down the line. Do the TV partners squawk and sit there and go, well, this wasn't what we were looking for because we were looking for pro-rel, and the excitement at the end of the season trying to figure out, okay, who's in, who's not? So Sky and BBC, do not be surprised if they try to renegotiate the deal when it comes to that particular contract. WSL's broadcasting contracts, according to The Guardian, a complicating factor because the deal stipulates a 12-team competition format with pro-rel that can be only altered with the agreement of all parties. WSL struggled to sell TV rights, forced to accept a 12-month extension to the existing contract on similar terms after a disagreement over valuation. And so the WPLL, Women's Professional League Limited, also brought in a 3-year title sponsorship with Barclays worth $15 million a year. Sky's the senior partner of the deal, set to broadcast 118 WSL matches this year, 21 available over the air. And obviously, Sky would be the first one at the table to sit there and go, yeah, we got to talk. They're not likely to stand in the way of expansion, but they might demand changes to the deal. More teams, different teams, you get the chance to view all of them, but there'll be a chance for Sky to possibly go, we didn't talk about this when it came to pro-rel. I mean, it's cool that you want to expand and everything, but we didn't you didn't give us really a whole lot of heads up when we were negotiating this TV deal. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the idea of the contract being renegotiated when it comes to everything going on in the WSL overseas. Crystal Palace has opened talks with Oliver Glasner amid interest from RB Leipzig. And considering what Glasner has done recently to Crystal Palace, to where legitimately, it's always been kind of the inside joke here on the show that Crystal Palace, we're just happy to be here. We're just happy to be here we're happy to be here at the lunch table. Just, we'll sit here at the end. We don't have to be involved with any conversations. We're just going to eat our lunch and go ahead and put our tray back when we're done and give it to the lunch lady, and we'll go back to class. But with what Oliver Glasner has been doing at Crystal Palace, is there a sea change in their philosophy? Yes, right now they're middle of the pack. They've won 4 or 5. 3 points out of 10th. They're right in there. But, you string together a couple of wins, you're like 8th. Villa's in 8th right now. So literally, you could go from 11th to 8th. You string a couple of wins together, get some help, and you're knocking on the door of Europa Conference League. Something that we cannot say that has been a part of the discussion involving the Premier League and Crystal Palace for quite some time. Crystal Palace just kind of happy to be between 11 and 15. We're here. We're cool. Everything's great. Night, Bam. Good to see you. Glad you were here. 12:45 for Bam. He's 15 hours ahead of us, and he's going to give us all the intel about everything that happens in the last 15 hours that we can sit there and talk about later on. But once again, busy weekend in the Bam, as Jason says. And so you end up with 8 matches this weekend. Then you have a weekend off before they come back on April Fool's. Insert joke here. Just to know your juice boxes, 4 matches at 11 o'clock on tomorrow morning, then 1 at 1:30. Everton a plus 110 hosting West Ham. Ipswich a plus 276 hosting Forest at a minus 101. Manchester City a minus 152 to Brighton at a plus 351. Southampton a plus 264. Draws a plus 247, and Wolves are a plus 104 on the road at St. Mary's. Bournemouth at the Vitality a minus 133. Draws a plus 313, and Brentford are a plus 321. Sunday, and you leave it to the Premier League to sit there and have matches on Sunday leading right up to bracketology in college basketball. Arsenal and Chelsea minus 125. Arsenal draws a plus 270. Chelsea's a plus 342. Fulham and Spurs. Fulham a minus 101. Draws a plus 283. Spurs are a plus 246. And then they skip the noon hour 3 o'clock, Leicester hosting Manchester United. Manchester United is a minus 120 at the King Power. Leicester is a plus 316, and your draw is a plus 273. FA Cup, which is the other element in all of this, those semifinals clog the schedule next weekend, and that's why there is no Premier League action next weekend. You have the round of 8. Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Spurs on 2 weeks. You have an international window, and then you have FA Cup. Fulham, Palace, Brighton, Nottingham on the 29th. Preston, North End, and Villa, Bournemouth, and Manchester City. That is on the 30th. And so that's what you're staring at with FA Cup coming up in 2 weeks. But you have your international window coming up for everybody and their mother all across the planet. Nothing wrong with that. So also, let's see what else is going on before we get into, let's do gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and then we'll do what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before we get into Week and Whip Around here in hour number 2. So looking at your gossip, you read a headline, you sit there and you pause for a second. You're like, real interest in Chelsea. Hang on. When in reality, I know, Abby, EPL doesn't give a shit about March Madness. I know. I was just being the angry American in that case. You know how respectful that is. That's incredibly respectful. You go right up to it, and then you go from the Premier League to March Madness. I'm just joshing. But you read a headline, real interested in Chelsea's Fernandez. Real? Yeah. Okay. So there's real interest in Chelsea's Fernandez. Okay. Then you realize Real. Read it, John. Real. Real Madrid targeting a summer move for Enzo Fernandez, who'd be open to joining Real Madrid. Chelsea could also allow Fernandez to join Madrid as a part of a swap deal for Aurelien Tchouameni. Real Madrid also interested in signing Dean Hewson from Bournemouth. Played youth football for the Netherlands before opting to represent Spain's U21s. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United among the clubs showing an interest in Morgan Gibbs-White from Forest. Liverpool also linked with a summer move for Bayern Munich's Leroy Sané out of contract in the summer. That comes from Bild. William Saliba has no intention of leaving Arsenal despite Real Madrid being ready to pay a world record fee for the center back. Arsenal chasing a deal to sign Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle. Sorry, Alex, but it's the 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Coventry City have joined the race to sign Netherlands center back Tyrese Asante from Maccabi Tel Aviv. Crystal Palace advanced talks over a new deal with Will Hughes, who's out of contract in the summer. Palace's Jean-Philippe Mateta, one of 4 strikers United have shortlisted. Liverpool have joined Arsenal on the trail of 17-year-old French midfielder Ayoub Bouadi after his displays for Lille. Tammy Abraham, currently on loan at AC Milan, has told friends he's keen to return to Villa this summer. Liverpool have been looking for a left back to replace Andy Robertson. Milos Kirkesh is one of their main targets. I think the price tag is $60 million. And Barcelona's Frenkie de Jong has fully recovered from an ankle injury, now ready to sign a long-term deal to stay with Barcelona. I'd love to know how they're going to pay him. Well, Frankie, we have, we got some zingers. We have some, we got some smokes. We got some menthols. We got like the little chocolate donuts with the frosting in the 6-pack. We got some beef jerky. I mean, literally, they could just raid the snack machine and sit there and go, well, Frankie, we can pay you with this. Literally, I think that's what they're doing. I mean, they've gone to selling sweets that don't exist yet for like 25 years. Hey, look what we did. We got some money. It's almost like the fisherman in the commercial. I think the Paycheck? Is it the Paycheck ad where you have the fisherman and he's in the sporting goods store and he's got the dollar on the end of the fishing line, and the female shopper, she's trying to sit there and grab at the dollar bill. Ooh, he almost got it. Literally, I feel at times that's what Barca is doing, trying to shop for people. There's like a dollar bill on the end of a fishing line. Ooh. Or that's what they're trying to do to get revenue. They sit there and they see the guy in the sporting goods store outside the the Camp Nou or the Camp Spotify or whatever they're calling it. And they're sitting there and they're trying to grab that dollar bill from the fisherman. Ooh, just missed. So close. That's how I think that Barcelona is trying to get revenue these days. Like I said, that's just me. Obviously, tonight's the start of the NWSL, so that's tonight if you are so inclined. Why is it? All right. Now, I'm having to re-sign into everything. I don't know if my computer updated and didn't tell me or what, but I'm having to re-sign into everything and give all of my passcodes back and all my bookmarks and everything. It's like, come on now. It's like the computer I thought had already updated, but it has logged me out of everything, and now I have to sign back into everything with all of my passwords that I don't remember. All right. Turkish Super League and in Ligue 1. By the way, if you're trying to track down Caleb Wiley, he's at Watford, so we'll keep an eye on what's going on in the championship. Turkish Super League, Galatasaray and Talyaspor at 1:30. Ligue 1, Nice and Auxerre at 3:45. It's on BN and also simulcast on BN and Español. If you don't have BN, CDO, Nuestra Tele, for the fans, Liga 1 Max, Liga 1 Max Pro, our buddy Nino Torres and Gold TV, Teise, all points in between. You can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get all of the information that you need and all the channels that you need to continue being a degenerate. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. So BN has Turkish Super League and French Ligue 1. ESPN Deportes has La Liga, Las Palmas, and Alaves at 4. Fox Deportes has the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote at 3. 2 to NA, doubleheader. Necaxa León at 8:30. Puebla and Toluca is at 11 in Liga MX. MLS Next Pro tonight on Season Pass. Los Verdos, Austin FC 2, and Loons 2 at 6:30 Eastern. Sporting Kansas City 2 and All Caps 2 at 7. North Texas and Whitecaps 2 at 8:30. LAFC 2 and Ventura County at 10, what used to be Los Dos. So El Tráfico Next Pro Style is at 10, and Tacoma Defiance and The Town also at 10 o'clock. On the Plus this afternoon, Almere City and Breda at 3 o'clock in the Eredivisie. St. Pauli and Hoffenheim at 3:20 in the Bundesliga. Bundesliga B, Magdeburg and Hamburg at 1:30, and they're simulcasting the La Liga match. Golasso Network has Bristol City Norwich at 4 in the championship. MLSNextPro.com has NYCFC 2 and Crew 2. So Pigeons 2 and Crew 2 at 7:30. Paramount Plus has Genoa and Lecce at 3:45, and also Bristol City Norwich City at 4. In women's soccer, Liga MX Femenil at 11. Tigres and Santos Laguna on Fox Deportes. Prime has Orlando and Chicago in the NWSL. DAZN USA. Frauen Bundesliga just before noon. Saudi Women's Premier doubleheader. 2 games available at 3. French Premier League. It is Olympique Lyon and Reims at 4, and they're also simulcasting on NWSL Plus the NWSL League game with Houston and Washington. And that's just your Friday. Saturday, BN's got League English Championship early on CBS Sports Network. Big Fox has LAFC in Austin. We'll get into that in a second. FS1 has the nightcap of Kansas City and Minnesota on the over-the-air TV. USA's got your doubleheader in the Premier League. BN and Español simulcasting. ESPN Deportes has a quadruple header in La Liga. Fox Deportes has Serie A at 10 and 1, plus the matchup in MLS, plus Liga MX at 7 and 9. Tigres, Santos Laguna, Juarez, and Guadalajara. Gold TV has the Portuguese Primera and the Uruguayan Primera, as our buddy Nino told us yesterday. Telemundo has Everton and West Ham. 2 to NA is the doubleheader. Universo simulcasting Premier League. Univision is the doubleheader in Liga MX. Season Pass has all the action on Apple TV. MLS Next Pro. Chattanooga and Huntsville, remember, that got moved up. That is now early because of weather. That is not a 7 o'clock kick. Timbers 2 and Monarchs at 10:30. ESPN Plus. Belgium, the Eredivisie. 5 matches in the Bundesliga. Bundesliga B. 4 in La Liga. USL Championship. We'll go over the juice boxes there too. League 1, Tormenta and Alta at 7 o'clock, part of the triple header. Fox Soccer Plus has Saudi, has Liga MX. Golasso has Italy Championship. League 1 with Wrexham at 11 o'clock in the morning. USL Championship doubleheader. NBCSports.com. Paramount Plus has Championship, League One, Serie A, USL Championship. Peacock has all 4 matches in the USL Super League. And they also have Kansas City and Portland in the NWSL and ABC. Ion a doubleheader in the NWSL. ESPN Deportes has Kansas City and Portland. DAZN USA. Serie A Femenil. Frauen Bundesliga. Liga Femenil in Spain. Premier League in France. ESPN Plus. NWSL Women's League Cup final 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Chelsea, Manchester City. Fox Soccer Plus. Serie A. NWSL Plus. Racing Louisville and Courage. Peacock simulcasting Super League, and that gets you through your Saturday. Good Lord. Whew, that's a lot. All right, hour number 2. Abby, I do have a cheat sheet, but me getting to the cheat sheet of my passwords is always a bit of a problem. I have it, and then I always, because I end up having like 3 or 4 different cheat sheets with 3 or 4 different passwords with cheat sheets. It ends up being a problem. So, morning Alex, morning Ricky, morning Kefsey. Messi played 40 in Jamaica last night. Yes, we'll get into that in a second. And Bam going through week number 1. And yes, it is Australian F1 week with the Grand Prix. Morning Coco. Catalucci. Sportsmanship cost a lot of money for Man U. On the same note, gained him some good PR. Absolutely true. Alex, yes, Spike Lee is a Grady baby. And that is Big Dan Burns' first call-up. So he's not 9'2", he's 6'6", according to Alex. Yes, will be safe tonight and tomorrow. Morning, Abby, on this 5 Stripes Friday from ATL Latoya Jackson. Yeah, oh, yes. So she is going to the ATL Latoya Jackson Seaport and hairstyling extravaganza. 53rd, I think, was when it was. Abby, Messi subbed in the 53rd. And Abby with a quick trip, hoping storms don't delay her getting back. KFC thinks Fanatico's number is 33. Basketball jersey numbers, yes, absolutely desired. Let's see. Will, MLS Next Pro, really interesting in their stat keeping and tiebreakers. Own goals count toward goal difference, but don't count toward goals scored. Whew, yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, that's odd. So it's a goal scored, but it doesn't count as a goal scored, but it does count against goal difference because it was scored on you. You scored it on yourself, so it counts in goal difference, but it doesn't count in goals, period. Because you don't count a goal that you scored on yourself, I think is how that works. So you don't count it in the plus as a scoring of a goal because you scored it on yourself. So unless you wanted to count it as a goal scored and as a goal in goal difference. Yeah, you'd have to do it both ways. It would have to be goal scored for goal difference, goal scored, and then you would have to apply the negative as a goal against you. So it would have to, it's a wash. And Ricky, I think I did do that all in one breath. It's all the massive breathing exercises I've done through all this time. Okay. Last night, it was in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. It was a chance for them to wrap up what's been going on across the board. And so it ended up with I'll say comfortable. I'll say it was a comfortable 2-0 win for Messi and friends as they went up against Cavalier. And like I said, the biggest thing for me is I'm trying to figure out, did they fly home after? I imagine they did. You know, they probably hopped on the PJ, turned around, and ended up going home. Tadeo Allende was listed as the player of the match. Your lineups to start for Miami. Ustari in net, obviously that was going to happen because of the red card. He cannot play this weekend. It'll be the return of Rocco Rios Novo. Jordi Alba, David Martinez, Maxi Falcone, and Ian Frey. That was your back line. Midfield, Redondo, Busquets, and Segovia. Kromoski, Suarez, Allende. So that was what it was going. That was what it was like for that lineup. So once again, Ustari, Alba, Martinez, Falcone, and Frey, Segovia, Busquets, and Redondo, Kromoski, Suarez, Allende, Suarez, and Kromoski. Then substitutions. Lujan came in the 50th for Falcone. Yannick Bright came in the 64th. Sergi Busquets actually got to breathe. David Ruiz came in as well. But it was because he injured a hamstring Wait a second. Am I looking at the right match? Hang on just a second. Am I looking at the right match? I thought I was looking at the right match. Am I daft? No, I am daft. I'm looking at the wrong stinking match. No wonder. It's like, wait a second here. All right, so let's go to the right match. John, you're a moron. All right, take two. Lineups. Messi scored at 90 plus 2. Suarez scored in the 37th on a PK. Here we go. All right, so now, for real, here's what it was. Ustari in net. That still didn't change. Ustari's not playing because of the red card. Rocco Rios Novo is. Back four. Alba, Allen, Falcone, and Frey. Busquets and Redondo in front of them. Ruiz, Segovia, and Allende. And then Luis Suarez up top. Now, David Ruiz had a hamstring injury. We don't know the severity of it. He had to be pulled. Alba, Allen, Falcone, Frey, Busquets, Redondo, Ruiz, Segovia, Allende, and Suarez with Ustari in net. Subs in this one. Used all 5. Kromoski had to come in for Ruiz in the 17th minute. This is much better. Yannick Bright came in the 53rd. Sergi Busquets left. Suarez came in the 53rd for Suarez. Aviles came in for 15 to have Jordi Alba get a sit. Morales came in for Segovia for 15 minutes. Rios Novo, David Martinez, Lujan, and Ryan Saylor did not play. Fix your fantasy, fix your fantasy, fix your fantasy. So that's what you're staring at once again. Luis Suarez on the night played 53 minutes. Got his goal. 46 touches. 46 touches from the striker position. 27 to 33. 1 cross, 2 long balls, 2 for 2. 1 is 1 ground duel. Had 1 clearance along the way. So Suarez subbed out. Segovia and Allende are going to be 2 of the ones that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. So Segovia played 75. 30 of 44, 68% passing on 64 touches. 1 of 7 on crosses, 2 of 4 on long balls. 4 of 8 on ground duels, 2 of 3 from the air, so 6 of 11 total. Fouled twice, 1 total tackle. Allende, who Andrew Wiebe talked about yesterday, 51 touches, 28 of 37 in passing at 76%. Key passes 2. 1 shot off target. 3 of 6 on his ground duels, 1 is only 1 in the air, so 4 of 7 on the day. Fouled twice, 1 tackle, 1 dribble passed. For me, I want to see what it looks like with Segovia and Allende. They've scored 4 goals in Major League Soccer this year when Lionel Messi has not been a part of the equation. And Inter Miami has also, Messi and friends have also. See, Abby, I caught myself. Messi and friends also, once again, they have not lost with Messi out of the lineup. 10-3-2 with him not in the lineup last year because the injuries, unbeaten this year with the rest and relaxation. The game time decision. Load management, however you want to phrase it. So Sergi Busquets on the day, 53 minutes, 32 touches, 22 of 23 passing. 4 for 4 in his ground duels. Fouled once, 1 clearance, 1 pick, 3 tackles. Federico Redondo played the full 90. Might be on the bench. I don't think he starts. 63 of 69 passing on 75 touches at 91%. 3 of 4 on long balls. 2 for 3 on his duels. 1 total tackle. Jordi Alba, 75 minutes. 4 picks, 1 dribble passed, 1 for 3 on the ground. 68 touches, 33 of 43 passing, 3 key passes, 2 of 3 on crosses, 1 long ball, 1 big chance created. Then Falcone, who had the highest ranking at the back, played the full 90 minutes. 10 clearances for Maxi Falcone. 1 block, 2 picks, 3 tackles, 4 of 5 on the ground, 0 for 4 in the air, 4 of 9 total. 82 touches, 92% passing at 57 to 62, 5 of 8 on long balls, and 1 of 2 on the dribble. Ian Frey played the full 90. 1 clear, 1 block, 1 dribble passed, 4 of 10 on ground duels. Fouled twice, 77 touches, 84% accurate passing, 38 of 45, 2 of 3 on long balls, 2 of 4 on the dribble. So you look at those minutes. I think first and foremost, you have to look at the injury to Ruiz. And like I said, we don't know. We don't know severity yet. And then you look at everybody who played a majority of the minutes, like Falcone and Frey at the right, and what that looks like. Do they come in around on a quick turn? Are they on a short leash? You figure you're probably going to get, I mean, Luis Suarez is in rhythm. Like I said, we'll talk to Jason and get his thoughts about all of this coming up in just a bit. But that is Messi and friends from last night in Jamaica in Champions League, turning around once they had a 4-0 aggregate lead, sitting a lot of 3-0 aggregate lead, set most of the big guns, brought Messi in. Messi scored to make it 2-0, winning 4-0 on the aggregate. So that's what it is. All right. Let's go through all the other matchups in Major League Soccer. Once again, when Jason drops by, then we'll start talking about what's going on with Messi and friends and Atlanta United, what he anticipates, what he's seen from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. And we've also got to talk about the twos because we haven't had the chance to talk about the twos. They've got a matchup against OCB in Central Florida on Sunday night. And we'll talk about what happened with Red Bulls 2 and Atlanta United 2 as we get ready for OCB and Atlanta United 2 coming up on Sunday as well. All right, juice boxes involving Major League Soccer. Juice boxes involving Major League Soccer. And let's see how they have changed since the analysis yesterday that we had with our buddy Nico Moreno. 230, which means 240. And we have to also go over officials and see if we can find the broadcast crews. 230, Red Bulls in Orlando City. The purple team's a plus 206. Red Bulls are a plus 127 up at SI Stadium. I've got to go Red Bulls here just because of how tough it is to go up against Red Bulls. And I think it's going to be a bit of a tough slog for the purple team in that one. I'm leaning Red Bulls here. Toronto and Chicago, at the end of the day, who really is going to watch this one outside of Toronto and Chicago? I would say not many folks. But Toronto is a plus 106. Your draw is a plus 265, and the Fire are a plus 231. I would advise watching something else. But that's just me. Jarrett, we're rolling through the juice boxes, and you came in at a great time. Chicago and Toronto.
Oh, Chicago. Again, this is the Greg Berhalter train we are driving.
Mm-hmm.
If this is the Snowpiercer train, I am I am in the one of the front cabins, living the life of the bourgeoisie.
Yes.
Greg Berhalter winning a trophy in 2025 is going to rupture a lot of arteries. I'm kind of here for it. So.
Well, but I mean, are you really even rupturing arteries if it is in fact Toronto? Because Toronto,
it's not about Toronto. It's about Chicago. Like one of these is not the other. I mean, it's not about who they're playing. It's about people being like frothing at the mouth at the idea of Greg Berhalter in general. So there's that.
Yes, absolutely.
That's kind of where it is.
Yeah.
For me.
Yes.
I
forget. Well, no, I forgot to ask about the Julian. I haven't seen you since the Julian Alvarez double kick and what you thought about that. I haven't had the chance to catch up.
Like we looked at like 12 angles of it.
Did you see the ball move? I didn't.
No, I didn't. But I don't know. Like, I like that everybody is absolutely up in arms. I'm kind of entertained by it, to be honest. I didn't. When I looked, I didn't see it move from a couple angles. I think there was one angle where someone said you can see it move. I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's weird. I forget what they finally ended up ruling on it. Like after the fact, of course.
Yeah, it was a double touch, therefore null and void.
Yeah. It's just you've got the technology in the ball nowadays that can accommodate for that. But yeah, I mean, it was a wild look. Champions League was just weird this week. Europa League was too.
Yeah.
Scotland got its long-awaited revenge on Jose Mourinho. So there's that.
Oh boy, yeah. That happened too. Didn't Jose say that he'd love to go back to Scotland and coach or something?
He did. At some point, he's going to go try and coach Celtic or Aberdeen just to take it out on Rangers at this point, and it will not work either time. Man, I could see Celtic doing that because they're short-sighted.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have stumbled back into a growth of like a Brendan Rodgers who is like growing and learning and not stuck in his ways, which I genuinely surprised by. I thought he would kind of be a curmudgeon about stuff, but he's evolving, and all of his flowers to him for that. Hell, look at the way they played in Europe this year. They took Bayern Munich to the last minute. Like Bayern Munich had to get put away a deflection off of a save to get it across the line. It's Celtic. He's I will give him his flowers. He's evolved. I still don't like him. If and when he moves on, bringing in Jose Mourinho and going backwards is just such a move I could see them doing.
Yes. By the way, yes. And by the way, Ricky is saying that he expects you to get an RSL Croatia kit now.
No. Maybe. We'll see. But as far as like the rest of it, I think Champions League was fun. That's where I'm at with it. I had fun with it this week because I don't have an emotional investment in it.
Yeah,
that is the key. I think at times it's the same thing with like I don't have an ACC team, or really an SEC team for
I
basketball.
try not to have an ACC team, but I'm still kind of screwed.
Yeah, well, you have a degree from one of them.
They were Metro 7 when I got my degree.
That's fair. Hell, Kennesaw's I think in the quarterfinal for the Kusa.
Ooh,
yeah, that's going to end poorly for everyone. Mostly me. But I like watching the ACC tournament when I don't have a dog in that fight because, and we discussed this on social media the other day that like because the Sun Belt tournament was just stupidly designed, where it's like every round was a new team coming in. It was like watching someone go up the challenge ladder in Mortal Kombat over and over again. So I think it was like UL Monroe was. I think it was Monroe was like the last seed, so they would have basically had to play a rested team for 4 straight games if they had made it. But also we were discussing this because like, yeah, the Sun Belt basketball is fun. Sun Belt baseball is even better because kind of like I think it was Cody who said it that like Sun Belt baseball is the kind of thing where you can watch a team put up a beautiful 5-run inning and then give up 4 straight bunt singles the next half inning.
Mm-hmm.
But also kind of like the USA Canada hockey thing, which John, you would know more about this. Someone explained it to me that all of those USA Canada kids have been playing each other since they were 13 years old at international matches.
Yeah,
they hate each other.
Absolutely.
It's a decade of hate.
Yes,
because they've played against each other at every high level competition.
Correct.
Baseball's the same way. A lot of those Sun Belt teams are full of guys who played travel ball, and they have more than once almost come to blows at a tournament outside of Panama City Beach.
Perfect game, perfect game, and all of the other things. That's what you're staring at with all of that. Yeah, no, I get that completely. But there is abject hatred for hockey kids in the U.S. and Canada going up against one another. That started early, and it ain't happening. A PSA from Will. The tournament final in Huntsville is at 7:30 tomorrow night. 100% getting delayed.
Oh God, man, we're gonna get a repeat. So Sun Belt. Yeah, Troy actually won in basketball. Because they finished on March 10th.
Yes.
Because it was. Oh, I'm sorry. It was. It was the lowest seed was ULM. And like if ULM, they would have just been playing a new team every way down the line, just exhausting themselves, just day after day. And like South Alabama shows up at like the quarterfinal, or actually, excuse me, the South Alabama and JMU show up at the semifinals. They're just kind of chilling out at the semifinals, waiting, and every round before that is just people beating themselves senseless. And instead, it's the 3-seed Troy who came in at the quarterfinal level, who won against Arkansas State, who also came in at the quarterfinal level. The Sun Belt's beautiful for its chaos, and we should appreciate it more.
Well, and if you can figure out a way to draw up the actual tournament bracket, then you would be literally. It's like it is like one of those greater than less than signs. It's not a true bracket. It feeds to a point.
It is, and it feeds to a point of chaos.
True.
On top of that, what you have is, to Will's point, it's 100% getting delayed in Huntsville. Might have twisters through Alabama and Georgia the next few days.
Do not encourage her.
Which
Yeah,
means that we have
I'm looking at the Big 55, and tomorrow's looking pretty bad.
If for those of you of the younger side of things, welcome.
Yeah.
It's been almost 20 years since this happened. This was 2018 years ago.
Man.
For those kids out there, 18 years ago, they had to move the SEC men's basketball championship because of a tornado. They're playing it downtown Atlanta, and they had to move it because of a tornado ripped through downtown Atlanta, like through the city, like ripped windows out the Westin.
Mm-hmm.
What was then Phillips Arena, like, got jacked up.
Yes.
It was like flooding. Anyway, UGA played like 3 games a day, 2 days in a row, and somehow won that tournament with SEC legend Sundiata Gaines running point.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget the Mad Bomber Zach Swansea from Dunwoody High School.
Yes. So, Georgia, who had no business winning that tournament, who was not good all year, like played double and triple headers like 3 days in a row because you had to, because they had moved all the games because Georgia got hit with a tornado.
Yes. Yes.
And Georgia somehow like survived. They beat Kentucky, and we're all like, we're watching that, we're like, oh, they beat Kentucky. That's just funny. And then they just kept winning. Like, okay, it's not funny anymore. Oh God, it's still going. Oh God, it's still going.
Yeah.
I think they beat Arkansas in the SEC title game.
Oh, you're having me remember this now.
Oh, but what I remember about it is that I remember watching it at my parents' house. And like, I'm not a UGA fan, but I was watching because I was enjoying the chaos, because it was full sickos activity before the sickos were a thing.
Absolutely.
And I remember watching that game thinking, like, there's a point in that game in the first half where you're like, oh, Georgia's winning this. Arkansas doesn't have a shot in hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the gods had chosen Georgia that day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Yeah, they were playing it at the Georgia Dome.
Yes.
Oh man, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you who have not had the chance to see it, as we do sidebar, Rory Karpf did an SEC storied on it. Miracle 3.
It should have. It deserves a full 30 for 30. To be honest, that entire weekend does. I was at my stepsister's wedding. Like, stepped outside, and we were in like a mega church for the wedding. So like, we stepped outside, and the tornado had come and gone. We just didn't hear it. Yeah, we're in Powder Springs. Like, oh, like there's debris everywhere. Like, oh, shit went down out here.
Yes, that is absolutely true. So your bracket, is that what? Is that right? So, I mean, this is the way that it fell out. So Georgia beats Ole Miss, Georgia beat Kentucky, Georgia beat Mississippi State, and then they beat Arkansas. And so now
2008, not 2007. I'm sorry. Well, so 07, 08.
Yeah. No,
I'm sorry. My bad, guys.
No,
I don't know my dates.
Yeah.
They did beat Arkansas. I was right about that.
Yes. And so here's your Dennis Felton that year was 4-12 in the SEC. And they were the 6th seed in the East. Here are your coaches that season. Tennessee had Bruce Pearl. Kentucky had Billy Clyde Gillespie. Kevin Stallings was 10-6 with Vanderbilt in the SEC East. Billy Donovan was at Florida. Dave Odom at South Carolina. Rick Stansbury was at Mississippi State. John Pelfrey at Arkansas. Andy Kennedy at Ole Miss. John Brady, who got fired, and then Butch Pierre had them in the tournament. And then Mark Gottfried and Jeff Lebo was at Auburn. So, yeah. And so you had literally, and I don't know why Georgia hasn't mandated playing double headers from now on in the tournament to continue the successes that they had. But yeah, when you had Sunday out against Terrence Woodbury and Zach Swansea, who basically just ignored a pass it to me as a freshman and launched a three and got the win. Everybody was like, if Zach Swansea had not hit that three, his life would have been over on that campus. Absolutely, his life would have been over on that campus.
Yeah. That was just, they called them the Dream Dogs, as they should. Then they went. I think they lost to Xavier in the first round of the tournament.
They were an 8-9, I think.
Yeah, and you know what the real shitty thing was? Is that I think they had the very first game of the tournament.
I think they did, yeah.
And we were sitting there like, why are you doing this to them? They just had played this gauntlet. And you made them play the very first game of the tournament. No, put them somewhere in the middle. Make them on day 2. Give them another day to rest.
Yep. It was a 3-14. It wasn't an 8-9. So it was a 3-14, and Georgia loses in DC to Xavier. And
Georgia was out of gas in that game. I remember watching it.
They finished 17-17.
Mm-hmm.
They lose to go into the tournament. To go into the tournament, the SEC tournament. They had lost 11 of 13 going into the SEC tournament. And then they win the first 2 in overtime, and then then you get the semifinals in the championship game. You hit the day-night doubleheader, and then you beat Arkansas in the title game after withstanding the early rush. So yeah, you lose 11 of 13. You go into the tournament, you win 4 in a row, including a doubleheader, and then you're a 3-14, and then you lose to Xavier in round number 1 to finish 17-17. Thanks for dropping by.
Never mind the fact that Georgia had to play Kentucky. Went to overtime against Kentucky in that. In the game that was postponed because of the tornado that ran through downtown Atlanta.
Yes.
Yay.
Last time Ricky heard Sunday out of Gaines' name when he had a game-winning 3 over LeBron for the Utah Jazz.
Yep. There's even as a non-Georgia fan, there's a certain level of I remember him and I honor him at all times.
Yes. 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 By the way, we're here to talk soccer.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, it's a Friday. Who really cares?
It's tournament season.
Yeah, it's tournament season. So we discussed, like I said, Jason is set to join us when he can juggle practice times up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. 3:45, which means 3:55. LAFC and Austin. LAFC is a -132. Austin heading to LA is a +361. LA and the draw is a +263. What do you think?
Give me LA. At some point, give me LA on this.
Okay.
Also, I was wrong, by the way. The damage was to the dome, and to make matters worse, sorry, Will, Georgia, when they won that the 08 tournament, they didn't win it at Phillips. They won it at Alexander Memorial Coliseum at Tech's campus.
Yep.
They went on to Tech's campus and won the SEC title game there, which doesn't make it any easier for anyone involved.
No, and they debated, the SEC debated taking and peeling off the ACC wording on the floor at Alexander because they had to bring in their own sponsors, but because I think they'd gotten into the building at 1:30 in the morning, and
there's no way to do that.
And they were just like, "Yes, screw it. We're going to put up our banners and our flags and our bunting and our sponsors and just get him in here."
Yeah, you just had to do what you had to do.
Tech just turned over the keys. It's it's all yours.
I as far as the Austin game goes, LAFC I think will be fine. They held on against Columbus, and I did not think they were going to. When it got to 2-0 and Columbus had it at 2, I thought the third goal was inevitable. But credit LAFC, they held serve when they had to.
Yep. Charlotte and Cincinnati. I think we know the game plan for Dean Smith going up against Cincinnati. Charlotte,
get the ball to Zaha.
They basically do a vert. We'll get it to you. Go long.
The grand irony would be is if we start seeing Patrick Ajimong become less effective because they run everything through Zaha. Like I said, after watching the Miami game, at this point the script should be foul Zaha.
Mm-hmm.
Foul him a lot.
Yeah.
get him mad and get him off his game. I know that I took issue with Dean Smith's comments last week about when they got a yellow against Atlanta for persistent infringement. He tried to pretend like he didn't know that persistent infringement was a thing and didn't follow one player. It sometimes followed the guy who was fouled. So like Miguel Almiron was getting hacked down like a cherry tree.
Yep.
So I want to see. This is one of those things for Charlotte in that they're a very, very good team. I think. I don't know if they can be a great team right now. I think it's there to become one. I don't think they are there right now. I think people are going to kick the ever-loving hell out of Zaha this season, and he's going to have to make peace with that, and he's going to have to figure out how to. He's going to have to figure out how to like compartmentalize that enough to be an effective attacker and not let it bother him. Like, yeah, you're going to get fouled. Take advantage of those opportunities. Oh, you got fouled in the attacking third? I don't know. Put one up for you have basically a Cape Buffalo of a striker who can jump out of the building.
Yes.
I don't know. Make them pay for those situations.
Yeah.
But they're playing against Miami seems to be get it to Zaha, see what he can make happen, and Miami just didn't let him do anything. It just, it was like, hey, somebody else beat us, and they really didn't seem inclined to try and let someone else beat them. So, yeah, man, I want to see them take another step before I call them anything better than really good.
Yep. And I'm like,
yeah, and yeah, that's the thing is like I think they're good to really good. I think they still need to take that next step to being great. The defense will still always be organized because it's Dean Smith and it will be organized. But like when they're overloading and when all that gravity is pulling to Zaha, like Vargas is right there, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I adore Vargas. Let him create. Let the man cook.
Yes.
It'll be an interesting game, though. So here's the thing. As I say all that, I could see Charlotte winning it outright because Cincinnati had midweek Conca champions.
Yeah, right.
And I think it would be a very good emotional win for Charlotte. Simply because, you came off of a disappointing performance where you were up a man for over half the game and you didn't beat Miami. I don't care if Cincinnati is played in the midweek, and I understand Charlotte has guys that are banged up. But you gotta find ways. This is one of those times. I think if you're Charlotte, you gotta find a way.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
yep. Next one on the board is DC and Montreal. DC's a -175. I can't remember the last time they were ever that high.
Yeah, man. Like I really like Montreal, but I'm starting to wonder if like my enjoyment of Montreal is just going to be an academic thing and not translate to actual productivity on the field.
Yep. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I don't know. If there's another game at 7:40, I would watch it. I don't know if that's the pitch.
I'll watch New York and New England.
Okay, well, New York's a -147. They don't have, and the Revs don't have Campana.
If they pummel New England into the ground, how long till we get on Caleb Porter watch?
Oh boy, I'm thinking that's if not already starting, I'm thinking that might kind of already be happening quick.
Close.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's confidence in Maxi Urruti up top with not having Campana for the next couple of weeks, so we'll see how that translates. But right now, NYC -147. The Revs are a +378, heading to whichever U12 pitch is going to be made available. Sporting and Minnesota United. Sporting is a +148. Minnesota United on the road to +169. And
Minnesota, baby.
Okay, so draws a +250. You're going to go.
I don't necessarily love Minnesota. I don't love their long-term prospects. I don't necessarily believe in them, but it doesn't matter what I believe and don't believe when they keep winning games.
Right.
So they want to keep proving me wrong. Go for it. But I'm also like always kind of side-eyeing Sporting Kansas City and this iteration of Sporting Kansas City. Man, it kind of feels like Hawks basketball, especially before the trade window, where like the last few years of Hawks basketball, we're like, guys, what are we hanging on for? What are we doing here? What are we attempting?
What are we doing? Who are we?
What are we attempting here? And do we need to make a change? And the guy who could make a change is the guy who is in charge and who is both running the front office and the on the field team, and will probably not be inclined to fire himself.
Correct.
I don't know what it takes for Kansas City. Anyway.
Yes. So there's that matchup in Middle America. And also because of weather, don't be surprised if you see some start time shifts. So just kind of keep your eyes out for all of that. Dallas at 8:40 Eastern, hosting Vancouver at a plus 114. Vancouver a plus 213 after having survived the Conca Champions in the midweek. Draws a plus 263. I'm inclined Dallas just because of the wear and tear.
Yeah, I'm inclined Dallas as well. I still like what we saw from Dallas in preseason. Hasn't translated over fully yet. Vancouver didn't just survive, man. They went down and they made it happen in Monterrey. And God knows the man with the whistle did everything he could to drag them back into that game.
Yeah.
Questionable penalty in the 93rd minute. Couple minutes after stoppage time ended, kept going, and Vancouver held on. Good on you, Vancouver, protecting the pride of MLS since 2025.
Yes. Yeah, protecting Major League Soccer in this hemisphere. Well done by you. Houston a minus 125 at Hell in a Shell hosting RSL. RSL's a plus 324. Draws a plus 268.
RSL. Houston, I don't know what is wrong with you. Benny Ball, get it together.
All Caps hosting Seattle. We got to talk to Nico about it a little bit yesterday. All Caps is a plus 135 at home. Seattle a plus 194. Areola out. Jordan Morris probably questionable. I don't know what they're going to do offensively. Does that mean that De La Vega gets the start? I have too many Seattle questions, so that's why I'm leaning St. Louis.
I'm leading Seattle simply for the same reason I talk about every week, which is every time we have this conversation about Seattle, our pets' heads are falling off. The moon is falling out of the sky as if we are in the Lars von Trier film Melancholia. Everything is on fire. Everything is collapsing, and also Seattle is somehow still in fourth place.
Yeah.
They just find a way, man. Culturally, they find a way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Until they stop finding a way, I'm just going to assume they find a way.
Absolutely true. Yes. And Fiend, as they say on the front of the screen. San Diego FC and Columbus Crew. San Diego favored at home, a plus 133. Crew a plus 181. Your draws a plus 257.
San Diego, Columbus burned out the fuel reserves in that midweek. They almost made it happen too against LAFC at home, but now you got to go. Now you're tired. You ran yourself into the ground. You have to go across the country to play in San Diego. Give me San Diego here. It's a scheduled loss if you ever wanted to have one.
Yes, although we neither condone nor endorse scheduled losses. Quakes in Colorado, even money plus 100 for you and your Bruce Arena-led Quakes. Colorado a plus 242, draws a plus 269.
Sneaky fun game here. Wouldn't have said that last year, now would you? But the Fighting Chris Armises are still really, really good at what they do. Sorry, somebody with an F-250 decided to let everyone in the neighborhood know that they have an F-250.
Yes, I've been.
But Fighting Chris Armises keep on doing things, and then Bruce had a setback last week with San Jose. The Minnesota game's a bit of a setback there. How do they bounce back from it? This is a fun game to watch. Tomorrow night, after you're huddled down, trying not to get blown away like Dorothy.
Yes.
Settle in for a 10:30. This has MLS After Dark written all over it. Go for it.
Yes, absolutely true. So let's see. Our buddy Cobbled Eyepiece, they're going to get called out and they're going to get reported in the Twitch pitch. They have now officially been blocked, and they're also now going to be reported for being a BOT. So you can't do this to me on a Friday. I don't have the patience for this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it immediately and still waiting until after the show is over. Let's see. Expanded. So what's my reasoning? Expanded. If I could spell expanded. Expanded viewership pledge. So now you have been reported. Cobbled eyepiece. There you go. I've submitted the report. All right. So 3 matches on Sunday. and obviously we will end up discussing ours as well. So we will discuss that as getting there in a second. All right, so the Sunday matches: Philadelphia, who is scoring goals. Thank you, Ty Barabo. They are a minus 125 hosting Nashville at a plus 305. Nashville actually found another goal scorer not named Surge or Mukhtar, and draws a plus 286 at Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Nashville finally scored a goal. It took them 3 games to do it, but they got actually 2 goals, I think, in that game.
Yep.
Also missed 2 penalties.
Yeah.
Again, let's have a conversation about Hani Mukhtar being one of the best players this league has seen, while also being a middling PK taker, which is okay because PKs are weird and they are not for the faint of heart.
Nope.
And not everyone's good at them. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because the Outdoors sucked at penalties.
Yes.
But so maybe, I don't know, give the ball to somebody else. I don't know. Do
Yes.
that. Then give me Philadelphia, though. Like, Philly's just going to keep rolling along until someone smacks them in the face.
Yes. All right. Now, also on the board, it is the game leading up to Atlanta and Messi and Friends. Portland hosting LAG. LAG survived Herediano. They're a plus 183 heading to Portland, who's a plus 131. Your draw's a plus 260.
Give me that 131 for Portland because LA had to play in the midweek and they've been bad in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They have. Like,
Yeah.
LA Galaxy has just been kind of like listless without Ricky Puig. So give me like in kind of like this kind of has slap fight written all over it. Like they're on the ground, like slapping each other, exhausted, and someone and you and I, not just you and I, but a collective, you and I, we, the royal we, are standing there with the cell phone camera, filming this and laughing maniacally in the lead up to the main event, which, as we all know, is Atlanta United 2 in Orlando City B.
Correct. The Twos had their season opener against Red Bulls 2, and since we are right there, the timing is, as always, is impeccable. Bart Keeler joining us as we get into Atlanta United 2 and OCB playing at Osceola Heritage Park. Jarrett, your takeaways before we get into the main event, discussing what happened with Atlanta United 2 and Red Bulls last time out. Red Bulls 2.
Really crappy result for Atlanta United 2 because they were the better team for damn all 90 minutes, and they got undone by a weird deflection where Efrain put his foot out and blocked a shot, but didn't block it all the way, and so it deflected off of his foot and then looped over the goalkeeper's head into the back of the net. And that was the only shot on target that Red Bulls had all weekend. Because the first team didn't have a shot on goal either. It was the only shot on target a Red Bulls team had, and it was a deflected ball where Morales did his job. It just the gods did not smile upon them that day.
And so now they have to go down to OCB to take on Orlando City B. That action will be simultaneous on the network, and that will be simultaneous to us at Mercedes-Benz. We'll have a Twos review after the fact, since we'll all be at Mercedes-Benz. All right, main event. Main event here. It is Atlanta United and Messi and Friends. Right now, Atlanta United a plus 138, Messi and Friends a plus 167. And the draw over 90 minutes is a plus 277. We always feel like we should do the juice boxes for those that believe in this kind of a thing. So, Bart, let me start with you. When you look at Messi and Friends, we went over the numbers. Who played how many minutes in Jamaica on the weekend? Messi came in, gave you 40. Some of the big names got your rest. So it looks like you might have most of the Gulfstream Galacticos in some manner, way, shape, or form, short of maybe Luis Suarez, who I think played 75. But his engine is not something that I think can run cold. You have to keep the engine going for Luis Suarez apparently this year. So what are you looking at anticipatory as Messi and Friends come to town?
Well, I think the first thing you're looking for is maybe the real question is, how does Atlanta United put the round thing into the rectangle thing? Because right now the team is 5th in the league in shots per XG.
Mm-hmm.
Creating a lot of shots, creating a significant amount of XG, we've only got 3 goals on the season. We're underperforming by 2. And I know that's like a very small sample size. Point is, the ball has to eventually find its way in the net, but it's not just as simple as that. I think a lot of the problems we've had this season, and particularly in the Charlotte game, it kind of also came away in the Red Bulls game. The shots you're creating, while you're creating a lot of shots, are not the highest quality shots. So the question is, how do you get better quality shots against Messi and friends? Especially facing a goalkeeper who isn't their starter and probably not as good as their starter has been, but I'm sure that means that he'll have a worldie against his former club.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Let me run through the numbers from the matchup against Red Bulls. It was 5 big chances for Atlanta United, 10 total shots, and 7 for Red Bulls. Let me break down the offense really quickly. Shots on target, 6 on target, 10 total. 1 hit the woodwork for Red Bulls, 3 off target, 1 block, 8 shots inside the 18, 2 outside the 18. So, Jarrett, you look at the first 30 to 45. Ronnie Dilo is happy with the first 30. And then the pleasure, I guess, kind of petered out. It was the first 30, okay with the first 45, and then second half, once again, it was 2 separate halves. Divergent ideas in the first 45 to the second 45. And still, defensively, though, I mean, we sit there and we look at it from 2 tracks. Defensively, you clamped down on Emil Forsberg, gave Red Bulls less than nothing. Second half was not the mirror image of the first half that you were looking for, as you pretty much did not let, quoting our favorite boxing trainer, Mickey, they didn't let that bastard breathe in the first 30 minutes when it came to Rocky and Apollo. So you didn't let him breathe in the first 30, but you didn't get anything for all the effort that you put into it.
It's not a popular thing to do when everybody is doom and gloom, but I do give them their flowers for literally not giving up a shot on goal.
Yeah.
And the only shot that came relatively close was because Red Bulls decided to pinball a ball in the box, where it looked like a U9 game where the ball was bouncing around and different guys just started taking like swings at the ball, and then it fell to a defender who skied a shot from close range. Had they scored that goal and won it, I think you'd have felt really hard done by it. I thought when Atlanta made changes, and Ronnie made them earlier than he has been. Like, dude has been running guys down to like, he's at times with that team, I think he runs it like the person who runs their car where it says like miles to empty. He'll get it in the single digits.
Yep.
You
get the 3 dashes on the board, and you're sitting there going, okay, I know it's less than 30 miles left in the tank.
Yeah, he's running them into the ground at times. But if you're comfortable with the way the game is going, that's fine. But when they made changes, I thought in the second half, when they brought changes, I thought they found their rhythm again. Go back and look at kind of the second half of the second half. Atlanta started finding combinations, starting able to play through, and started creating opportunities. However, the final ball was missing consistently. And that's the thing I think you're waiting on to see. But at the same time, looking at the guys you have, you have guys who can provide that final ball, who have done it before here and elsewhere. So 3 games into the season, I'm not as worried as I would be 8 games into the season.
Yeah.
I guess let's pick an arbitrary number.
Sure.
3 games into the season, I'm not as worried because if you weren't creating chances, like if we were watching them and going, wow, so it was a 0-0 draw. What did Atlanta do? They had like 2 shots on goal over 90 minutes and like 6 shots, and nothing was really troubling. I think I would be more concerned. The question is, how do you spread this out? Because, you had 5 big chances according to Opta and like SofaScore from last game. If you would spread that over 90 minutes, I think everyone would feel better. But because it was condensed in 45 minutes and then it wasn't repeated in the second half, it was tough. It was kind of tougher to swallow because you're kind of getting into this rhythm now of expecting, okay, can we maintain it in the second half? But if your philosophy can become, we're going to start putting the ball in the back of the net, great. How's that going to happen? Well, we're going to flood you in the first half and kind of do the LAFC thing from like 2018 or 2019, excuse me, where we just blitz you.
Mm-hmm.
and get a couple goals and then can control the game in the second half, like fine, but you have to get those goals to do that.
Yeah.
And then if you're not getting them, how do you manage the second half? Because you can't just, we have this talk about like the Red Bulls teams and all those energy drink teams, the high press. You can't play like that for 90 minutes.
No.
You can't. You're not a team of ultra marathon runners. So you got to pick your spots.
That seemed to be the issue for me mostly in the Charlotte game, Jarrett, where a very strong performance in the second half or in the first half. The shot quality wasn't as high as you wanted. You don't get a goal in that first half, and then you come out the second half slightly flat, not even like that bad because you still had some chances, but like just didn't come out with the same intensity. And Charlotte gets 2 goals because defenders on this team are prone to error, and that's
to be
kind
fair,
of
it was your like 4th and 5th string outside backs.
Being injured is an error at this point in time, Jarrett. You got to be healthy. But no,
Look,
I mean,
I have offered my hamstring to multiple players.
I know they don't. I think my hamstrings are okay. Nothing else about my knees.
Not a
Yeah,
surgical.
basically, my knees will make you worse. You can have my hamstring; it's in decent shape.
But that to me is the issue. Is just I remember specifically in that Red Bulls match, like thinking in the moment, man, we have to score here because there were periods of 5, 6, 7 minutes where it just felt like all we were doing was possessing the ball in and around their box and nothing came of it. Kind of felt that way a little bit in the Charlotte game. So for me, that's the struggle. And I'm with you is that, well, if you're looking at match control, I don't think we've had full match control, but we've had control of matches for a spell that never produced anything. And if you get a goal in one of those times in the first half against Red Bulls or one of those times in the first half against Charlotte, the game changes, right? And, Charlotte probably still scores 2 goals because both of them were on counterattacks and one of them was an assist, which was, a slide tackle from a defender, which just happens in the most unlucky circumstances. But Red Bulls had a chance that made you scared. That was a squeaky bum moment. And you have to take advantage of your momentum to not let that happen. And Miami's a team that'll create a lot of chances. And they've got some talent that can put away a goal on a half chance. I remember Messi's goal against us last year down in Miami, where I think he had a half of a centimeter of space, took a shot, and what are you going to do about that? And that's the scary part in this game is if Atlanta United needs to take 27 shots to score 1 goal, that's an exaggeration. But Miami doesn't need that many because, shocker, they have extremely talented players on their team. That can be the nervy part for me, and that's just the concern is you've got to take advantage of the chances and the moments you create.
And I think when you look at Atlanta United going up against Messi and friends in this one, and like I said, I'm kind of spoiling prescription for victory here. But for those of you that wander into the building, you sit there and you'll watch the show and you sit there and go, yeah, we talked about that already. I've heard this. I think it comes down to, once again, like you saw against Red Bulls, not letting them breathe offensively in the middle of the pitch. We've seen it before where you have Jay Fortune, Derek Williams closing in on whomever has the ball at the top of the 18. Doesn't matter what the number is on the back of the jersey. They close down. They don't care who it is. So you don't have that kind of an opportunity presented to you by the Gulfstream Galacticos here. And I mean, you look at that, you close down that space, you don't let them breathe in the middle of the pitch. And defensively, for God's sake, don't let them have the cut back cross.
But Atlanta's done good at that, though. Like
Exactly.
Atlanta's done. Okay, I get that's the talking point, and that's the talking point with every damn team in this league. But we've got 2 years of evidence that shows you that Atlanta has been good at that because Atlanta has been one of the only teams that does not wet themselves in the 18 defensively.
Yep.
One of the things Miami's done such a good job of is burying you back, and then you start dropping and dropping and dropping. And all of a sudden, your heels are next to your goalkeeper, and you're asking him, "What do you want to do for dinner tonight?" But give Gonzo credit when he was here because they got this part right. Give Rob credit when he was here because they got this part right.
Yep.
When they got into a defensive posture, they didn't get scared. They didn't back up. They stepped out, and they didn't give Miami those cutbacks, or they stepped in the lanes and didn't give them the opportunity to quick shoot it. As of all the issues that have plagued this club for the last 2 calendar years, that is not one of them, and I will not hear it.
Nope. You've got that defensively, and Atlanta United has handled that very, very well, especially once again, last 5 of 6. Only once has Atlanta not scored more than 1 goal, and in that one game, they did lose. So 3-1-1 in the others. So you look at that, and then offensively, I think it comes down to the idea of taking advantage of the speed that you have on the edges, creating havoc down the wings. And once again, you pass it into the middle the second time, you sit there and it's like, all right, I'm going to go speed with Saba or Miggy or whomever down the wings, and whomever your outside backs are, I think you can get behind them. And then also at the same time, you have someone like Tomas Aviles, who is a living, breathing, walking yellow card. When he gets a yellow, I swear to God, I've seen so many teams get a yellow on Aviles and not follow it up. I swear that I've seen that more often than not. Aviles gets a yellow, and then it's like, oh, okay, he's got a yellow card, and then they try to think of other things to do. If Tomas Aviles has a yellow, run after him again. Hit him again, hit him again, hit him again, because he runs more than a little hot. And so I think it comes down to controlling the space defensively and making sure that the elements don't happen for Messi and friends there when they're on offense. And for Atlanta, go run around that back line that I think you can run around when you see them on Sunday night. Like I said, that's the things that we've seen in the past that have created success against this team that Atlanta United, Bart, has not flinched one bit. They have not flinched against Messi and friends at all.
Well, Messi has 1 win over Atlanta United, and that was a very tight win where they decided that they thought they could just they should have gotten multiple red cards for assaulting Brad Museum like that. But hey, you know what? They got away with it. And if that's what it takes to beat Atlanta United for the mighty Messi and friends.
All right. So can you please hold up how many wins Lionel Messi has on your fingers? How many wins? Thank you.
I'll say it in his native language. Uno.
They might get another red card. They've got 2 red cards in 3 games this year.
Yes,
the odds are ever in their favor.
Okay, we got to talk about Miami
Sure.
and the refereeing. I'm sorry, we're gonna veer into roughing down here. Y'all look like a bunch of spoiled children out there. I'm just saying, y'all look like spoiled, petulant children, looking like what's her face from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I want it now.
You just
Veruca
get mad.
Salt.
Yeah, very much that. I'm sorry that not every single call goes exactly your way. They're like the people that I referee in the adult leagues. No offense to any of those people who might be in the chat. Every time the ball goes out of play, oh, it's us. Bro, you kicked it. It was a goal kick that you kicked all the way out of bounds. How was that? That's what they feel. That's what they look like. And that to me is also kind of the secret. Will, thank you for correcting me. Leagues Cup doesn't count. I don't count Leagues Cup. That's not a real tournament. I didn't watch it, so it doesn't count. That to me can kind of be a secret for Messi and a secret against Messi and friends is to keep your own cool and let them melt down a little bit. It's not quite Orlando of the mid 20 teens, because that was just a cataclysmic event waiting to happen. But I do think that against Miami, you need to just keep your own head. And as you pointed out, they're going to get a yellow card or two because a lot of them are just slow or a little bit undisciplined. So let them be their own demise in that way and just be patient.
And by the way, we have our assignments for the officials here. And in the middle, Drew Fisher is going to be the man in the middle. Your AR is
Okay.
Logan Brown and Gianni Facchini. Your fourth is Sergei Demyanchuk. Your VAR is Timothy Ford.
Now, does his game pay get taxed when he enters the country? Is that part of the new tariff plan?
Oh God, it's possible.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Look, my heart goes out to Sergei Demyanchuk, who has to be the fourth in this game because you know he's going to hear about it the entire game.
Ooh. Oh,
Dude, there's some managers in this league that you could not pay me, which they are getting paid, so that makes sense. You could not pay me to be the official for. Not a chance in hell.
So you're
to be the fourth official. There's some managers in this league I don't want to hear from. Like I don't want to be standing there when Caleb Porter is standing there.
Could you imagine a New England San Jose match and you're the fourth?
Well, for one thing, you actually probably are going to get off without having to deal with any problems because Bruce is going to be like sitting there on the bench reciting his list of New England people like he is Arya Stark. Trying to figure out who he's going to take out in New England.
Yes.
But, man, yeah, you couldn't pay me to be the fourth for some of these teams.
Yeah, no, that is not going to happen. By the way, we do have breaking news from Apple TV that there is a season 4 of Ted Lasso under development. So there is.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
There is, but I mean, this is, but you know that Jason Sudeikis is not going to let that go without it being written within an inch of its life. It's not just going to be something where he's going to go in and sit there and cash the check. It's going to take a couple of episodes for the rhythm of the season to come like it always does. Then when it hits full song, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then you're going to have season 4. So I don't know what direction it's going to take. Is it going to be the women's team? Is it going to be continued adventures? I don't think Phil Dunster is going to be involved because of other commitments. So, at least at the moment, anyway. So we'll see what happens there. But season 4, Ted Lasso, currently under development and being promoted by Apple TV. So woohoo and huzzahs as we go.
We need a crossover of. Give me a crossover of Ted Lasso and Severance.
Wow.
Give me like Ted Lasso's inner self, and he doesn't remember anything about the coaching side of things.
Interesting.
Give me that crossover.
Wow, that'd be pretty deep. I mean, I could see that.
Deep isn't the word I would use. Disturbing is the word I was going.
Yeah,
for.
I mean, but I could absolutely see that would be like that'd be a good holiday short. The other question is how many minutes we're going to get from the Greatest Hits package, brought to us by our friends at KTEL with Messi and friends coming to town. Don't know how many minutes. Like I said, Suarez played a lot. Messi came in, gave you 40. I think he was warming up the engine, getting ready for the weekend. Sergio Busquets has led the team in minutes. Jordi Alba, I think, is a close second. I am intrigued what the back line is going to look like, and that's why I think you can run at that back line and get in behind. And Latte Lat, according to Doug Robertson of the AJC, is in the contact portions of training today. So it looks like Latte Lat don't know how many minutes we're going to be able to get. Does he start? Can he give you 45? Can he give you 50 or 60? We'll find out, but he's in the contact portions of training. Brooks Lennon, I think, is getting closer and closer and closer to coming back. Pedro Amador is back in the lineup, and we got to see what Hawkeye has been able to do. I think it, shakes the ring rust off a little bit. I'm intrigued to see, Bart, what Messi and friends look like, considering that they played in Jamaica last night.
Well, there's a lot of things you could either do or bring back from Jamaica that might make you a little sluggish. So hopefully they found that.
Wow. Dropping the hammer at the end of the show.
I'm just
He's not wrong.
This is wishful thinking.
I mean, you call whatever you want, John. He ain't wrong.
I'm not saying he ain't wrong. I'm just saying he's dropping the hammer at the end of a show. That's all I'm saying. But Bart, what other thoughts and questions and or exclamations do you have heading into the last match of match week number 4?
Well, we are the last match. That's good. That is correct. I do want to talk about not this game, but this game in the context of the season, and just say I know it's early, but you don't want to be chasing a whole lot of points. And you do kind of need to win for two reasons. One, because you want to take points from Miami. Not many teams are going to do that this year. So if you can do that, that's a bonus. But you don't want to be chasing a whole lot of points, especially because that would be 2 in a row at home that you don't get full points. And this is not a doomsday thing. This is just looking at the schedule where, yes, your opening month, March, and is tough. April isn't that much easier, but it's a slightly easier schedule. And then May, again, you have a good slate of home games. So you do need to take advantage of the home games you have, because June comes and you don't see Atlanta for I think you don't see Atlanta from May 31st until July, after 4th of July. So you do kind of need to bank your points now, because they're going to be few and far between, I would imagine, during that June run. And that's just because we know in MLS it's hard to get points on the road. So I hate to be looking at this table already, but that's just the reality. You don't want to be.
I think there's a balancing act there. I don't think you're wrong. I don't like looking at the table this time of year, but I don't consider it looking at the table what you're doing. And as I've said before, in every league, win your games early and get outside of the gaggle. Get outside of the rat king that is the middle of the table.
Yes.
Because look at those teams in the last few years. It was Orlando last year, who was able to get out of it. Red Bulls was able to get out of it. You're able to get kind of above that rat king of chaos in the middle of the table. That's where you want to be. You don't want to be having to watch other games to see, okay, are we going up or down on the table? It made for such a thrilling end of the season last year. It was storybook for everybody going through Miami, all that jazz. It was great. I will hang on to that forever. But if you can get above all that and climb above all the bodies, then do it by all means.
You have to use this, Jarrett, to, one, not be bogged down by the dog days of summer where you're going to start adding extra matches. But I'm with you. The end of the season, I don't want to be fighting for a playoff spot, and I'm not saying that we're there, but to your point, both Red Bulls and Orlando at the end of the season, they were jostling for, are we getting a home match? Are we getting a higher seed? That is what this part of the season, I agree with you, can really do, especially with all the home matches we have. Because if you can bank 3 points for the next, I think we had 10 home matches in the first 3 months of the season, that's a lot of points, that you have available to you. So take advantage of that.
There's also the fact that, if you want to play the schedule game, which we can, because I too get angry at myself and want to punish myself at times.
It's the uncomfortable reality of this particular season. That's why.
Yeah, you played Montreal, who you beat. Fine, you won a home game there.
Good.
Everyone at MLS, everyone at the mothership has told me that Charlotte's a top 3 team in the East. You lost on the road to them. I don't know if you were here for that part. I'm not 100% convinced with Charlotte, just because they're going to have to find a way to produce other than Zaha make magic and U9 long ball.
They got lucky that Matt Edwards couldn't read a bounce correctly, and they got lucky that a tackle went straight.
This is how I feel about it, but of course that sounds petty, and I'll be accused of being petty by saying things that are accurate.
Well, look, they still created the opportunity.
They decided we don't want the ball in our end. Let's boom it long. Oh, that worked out nicely. You don't apologize for that, but replication is going to be interesting. You should have beaten a Red Bulls team that was in MLS Cup last year. Now you have Miami, then you get Cincy.
Yep.
New York City, that'll be a nice little chance to breathe. Dallas, possibly a chance to breathe. New England, possibly a chance to breathe. That's a 3-game stretch where you can feel good about. You need to take 9 points out of those games if you want.
Jarrett, did you see that Nick Cushing is going to take over Manchester City women? By the way, I did not. Sorry, you mentioned New York City because Garrett Taylor got fired from City women.
Okay.
Nick Cushing's sorry, continue your rant. I just needed you to be aware that Nick Cushing, who got essentially fired from New York City FC, is going to be taking over one of the top women's clubs in England. That totally makes sense. Granted, I think it's more of an interim basis, but still, I think that's hilarious.
Okay.
I can't top that. My point is it's this schedule's going to be brutal, and it's going to be brutal for everybody this year. The East is weird. I don't really know what to make of everyone in the East, but you've also kind of loaded down with a bunch of weird games this year, and it doesn't help that because of the unbalanced schedule, Atlanta apparently is in an eternal quest to have to play Seattle and or LAFC every single season. And I don't know why we can't just can we just have Kansas City instead every year? Why do we have to keep playing LAFC and Seattle every season? It's one of the
because MLS schedule makers want to make it happen, Jarrett. They don't want to give us a match against even San Jose.
Well, they should, because Atlanta San Jose is always a drunken fiasco.
Dyla and Bruce Arena.
Atlanta has to go back out to LAFC this year.
Yep.
It is one of the reasons why I'm a firm believer that the Shield has so much less weight than it used to, no matter what people want to yell at me about and romanticize about whoever wins the Shield. I think you should celebrate the Shield. I think you should cling to it, and I think you should rub it in your opponent's faces and hit them over the head with it like it's a steel chair. But also understand that it's not the most important trophy anymore, because we're not all playing a balanced schedule anymore.
Mm-hmm. Especially, Jarrett, and this has been a scheduling issue I've had with MLS, because, as you point out, we have played an LA team or Seattle, sometimes both, every season we've been in the league. MLS needs to do better at, if you're going to claim to be a league of parity, then number 9 Atlanta United doesn't need to be playing at number 1 LA Galaxy.
PARITY, not PARODY.
Well, it's kind of getting into that.
Yeah, well, it is both.
But also Atlanta's other Western game is Colorado. So Godspeed, and Austin.
Well,
Colorado.
I'll be there.
I might be there as well. I might make the trip out to the Prairie Dog Factory.
Yes.
We finally.
Let's go.
Atlanta finally gets to go to Austin for the first time, and then San Diego comes here.
I know.
On a weeknight.
I mean, come on, man.
I mean,
so
shout out to that, by the way, because here's you want to see some pain. Match day 3 of group stage for Leagues Cup, August 6th, Atlanta hosts Atlas.
Correct.
August 9th, Atlanta goes to Montreal, which, if you've never been to Montreal, that's a long flight. That is a long flight.
Yes.
5 days later, or excuse me, I'm sorry, 7 days later, Atlanta goes to Colorado. And then Atlanta comes home.
They're not coming home. Literally,
don't need a nap.
It's going to be 8 days on a plane, and no one's coming home. I know how that works. Yeah, Austin on a Wednesday. Thanks, schedule maker. I mean, come on, people. Bart,
they will in fact not.
No, they will not. Tailgating plans as you know them for 17s at Lot 17, Bart, off the top of your head?
That is the plan. They're going to be in Lot 17, I believe, with the 7 o'clock kick, not 7:30.
So
start around
7:10, 7:20, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's not a.
So it's a 7:10. It's a 7:10.
Yeah, it's not a Fox game, although maybe it should be. But anyway, so 7 o'clock. So subtract 5 hours. That's when the tailgates will start in Lot 17. A handy dandy tip for all those trying to figure it out.
Yes, subtract 5, and keep your head on a swivel for Andrew Wiebe, because we recommended that Wiebe ends up.
Andrew Wiebe.
So yes, we have encouraged Wiebe to go to Lot 17, because he does know about the how do we phrase this? The colored beverage rondo that happens apparently in the middle of the Lot 17 that we have seen in the past. Yes,
liquor ball.
I'm glad that it has a name. So Jarrett, last thoughts before we get out of here on a week.
Enjoy the weekend. You have until Sunday night for Atlanta and in Miami, and if you're going to be stressed out about it, that's okay. I'm not going to tell you not to be, and you're going to be nervous about it and excited about it. That's fine. Be safe with the weather, but enjoy the weekend of games. Enjoy the weekend of college basketball stupidity as well, wherever your allegiance may lie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's absolutely true. So we got to keep an eye on all that stuff. All right. So once again, it is tonight. It is Johnson Gainesville hosting GAC, 5:30, 7:30 on the network. That's on the Mixlr app, and it's soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. It's also on soccerdownhere.net. You go to the Listen tab, and it kind of flashes which network is live whenever we're live. So you can do that as well. And then it is Atlanta United, Messi and Friends. It's an all-day extravaganza after we've gone through all the weather of the overnight. We get to celebrate the front coming through, so it'll be like 68 degrees or so, or 69 degrees. Nice. And then windy, so be prepared for all of it as we go there as well. And then keep an ear out for Atlanta United 2 and OCB, that it's going on at the same time down in at Osceola Heritage Park. And we'll have a Tues review after that is done as well. So, gentlemen, as always, it's great to have you come and crash the party here in hour number 2. Jason is at training, and he's keeping an eye on things there. And so he and Maddie will have the training ground dispatch coming up across the network when that is over. And then they get to pack up, and they get to head to Hall County. So that's the kind of day that we have here on the network. Clarkston and Druid Hills will be our matches on Monday from Adams Stadium, our first time at Adams ever in the history of doing games. Adams Stadium. You want to talk? Woo!
Love it.
That's going to be an interesting venue for us to call those matches on Monday, and we have others plotted and planned as well. So, gentlemen, as always, great to catch up with you, and we will see you in various forms and elements of media coming up. Thanks for dropping by on a fabulous game day Friday where we've gone through all the juice boxes and everything. Thanks as always for everything and dropping by as you always do, as we always say. You know what that means? It is time to put a bow on this show and get ready for other things. So that means that it's Mucha Plati, I'll play it safe, all the things, and we have to end it in the appropriate manner. So as we always end Fridays, time to play the whistle, everybody. Play it safe, be safe, and we'll see you at the Benz on Sunday.
The war was on. Ah, the keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress, the streets